I feel it's my responsibility to tell you guys because it is the truth, and I believe if we all knew this, we would dedicate much more of ourselves to stopping it.
Blake Lively is having a public meltdown, posting desperate Instagram stories after a federal judge dismissed the vast majority of her court case against Justin Baldoni.
A judge, the trial judge, has dismissed 10 of the 13 charges that she has made against Justin Baldoni. This is an enormous loss for Blake Lively.
U.S. District Judge Lewis issued his massive 152-page ruling on April 2nd, rejecting the basic foundation of Blake Lively's allegations. Out of 13 charges filed against Baldoni and his production company, Wayfarer Studios, the judge dismissed 10 charges, which has left the actress with only a tiny fraction of her original case. Judge Lewis based his decision on two massive legal failures by Blake Lively's highly paid attorneys. These failures were rooted in basic errors that a first-year law student might catch, but her expensive lawyers ignored them in their rush to file a flashy lawsuit designed to generate headlines rather than seeking real justice.
The judge said is Blake was relying on California law in this lawsuit. And the judge said, look, most of these claims emanate from the set, which was in New Jersey. California just didn't apply.
Blake's team tried to use strict California labor laws to punish Baldoni and his production company. However, the judge pointed out that the filming of the movie took place in New Jersey, and since the alleged incidents happened on a set in New Jersey, the judge ruled that there was no connection to California at all.
So she was trying to sue him using the wrong law, California. So he threw the case out. He didn't rule on the merits of her claim, just said, look, the law that you're relying on doesn't apply, so dismissed.
The judge also ruled on the exact nature of Blake's employment. To be protected by certain strict workplace mistreatment laws, a person must legally be considered a direct employee of the company. Judge Lewis ruled that Blake Lively was actually classified as an independent contractor on the set, not an employee. This meant she was totally ineligible to pursue those specific claims under the laws she chose.
She is not an employee. She is an LLC, an independent contractor, which means Title VII doesn't apply to her.
The sudden realization that her grand plan had failed sent Blake Lively into a complete emotional meltdown that her team could not contain.
Blake Lively seems to be having a full-on meltdown over on her IG as she posted 13 stories last night.
After this massive defeat, she posted multiple pre-made quotes along with a long message and tried to reframe her legal loss as a moral victory that's far better than the courtroom win. One of her statements claimed, "Don't be distracted by the digital soap opera. The constant packaging of this lawsuit as a celebrity drama is not only irresponsible, but it is by design, to keep you from seeing yourselves in my story." But instead of gaining the sympathy she desperately wanted and needed to rebuild her image, Blake Lively's meltdown triggered a different reaction from fans. A person tweeted saying, "Wrap this Blake Lively stuff up." Her Instagram stories are laughable and not changing anyone's opinion on her. Another one added, "Blake's meltdown is quite telling. She really can't handle reality not going the way she was sure it was going to go." Not only that, people mocked her for posting pre-made Canva template quotes on her Instagram stories to try and prove she had not lost the case in a legal sense. One user tweeted, "Blake Lively is in full meltdown mode with the non-stop IG stories, posting quotes from filings, trying very desperately to prove she didn't lose like most people think she did. At this point, someone should probably take her phone away because this crash out is not stopping." Many fans accused Blake and her husband, Ryan Reynolds, of playing the victim card when they were caught doing wrong. The comment sections across all platforms were flooded with people saying that she and Ryan knew exactly what they were doing when they filed this lawsuit. The actress could have easily avoided the entire disaster if she had just acted like a normal professional at the movie premiere instead of starting a war against her co-star.
So the judge has just ruled. In his ruling, he is questioning if there ever really was harassment and if there ever really was a smear campaign.
There are reports that Blake and her husband, Ryan Reynolds, are absolutely furious after this new update. The couple, who are used to getting their wanted results, have suddenly found themselves on the losing side of this year-long battle.
Can you blame her? Can you imagine how furious not only Blake Lively, but Ryan Reynolds is right now at home, knowing how much time and money those two wasted in court for it all to just be thrown out the way it was?
When a massive PR strategy fails, the people in charge must quickly change the story to protect what they can. This is exactly what Blake Lively's legal team did when they realized the core of their case had collapsed. With the most important claims completely dead in the water, her lawyers began issuing unrealistic statements to convince the fans that losing 10 out of 13 charges was actually a good thing, and proved they were on the right side of the argument.
The case is really about Blake Lively's testimony about what happened to her, and she is ready to go to trial and ready to give that evidence.
Her lawyer, Sigrid McCauley, tried to spin the judge's massive ruling, telling the press that the SH allegations were not dismissed because Justin Baldoni was innocent, but because the court determined Blake Lively was an independent contractor, not an employee. She stated that Blake was looking forward to testifying at trial to shine a light on this form of retaliation so that it becomes easier to fight. To be honest, she just painted the actress as a hero, standing up for on-set safety, rather than someone who just had the majority of her lawsuit thrown out in a federal courthouse.
Blake Lively should be an example for all of our daughters to follow. She stood up for herself in the workplace, as we would hope that our daughters would do as well.
On the other side, Justin Baldoni and his legal team were happy with the ruling that had supported their client. Baldoni's lead attorney, Brian Friedman, celebrated the ruling and sent statements to major outlets, confirming that the court ruling finally confirmed the truth they had been telling all along.
Meanwhile, now Justin Baldoni's lawyer has spoken out, and he said from the beginning, Justin and the other defendants have maintained their innocence, and that it's gratifying to see the court's ruling.
Blake's team could not handle seeing Baldoni celebrate what they considered their humiliation. Her other lawyer, Michael Gottlieb, launched a bitter attack against Brian Friedman. Speaking directly to TMZ, Michael tried to embarrass Friedman by claiming that he did not even argue the summary judgment motion himself and had to bring in another law firm to help with the trial preparations.
Lively's lawyer, Michael Gottlieb, tells TMZ he's not surprised Baldoni's lawyer, Friedman, doesn't understand the judge's Thursday ruling, especially since he had to bring in another law firm for the trial and just last week was reprimanded by the court for having filed legally frivolous claims.
The tension between the legal teams became so unprofessional that a U.S. judge actually had to step in and issue a formal order for the lawyers to stop publicly discussing the case and insulting each other in the media. But to understand how Blake Lively thought she could win this war, we must look at how Hollywood elites use the media to destroy their enemies when they feel threatened. Throughout this controversy, fans and independent journalists noticed a very similar pattern in how the mainstream press was reporting the story that benefited her. There were reports that her public relations camp was secretly working directly with the New York Times to print biased articles against Baldoni that presented one side as an established fact.
What they did was they worked with the New York Times. Her publicists worked directly with the New York Times. They shared illegally obtained text messages.
Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, released a strong statement calling it shameful that Blake and her representatives were making up false stories to fix her own negative reputation that she had created through her own actions. He claimed that Wayfarer Studios had to hire a crisis manager long before the movie even came out because Blake was making constant threats that disrupted production and created a bad environment for other co-stars. These threats included threatening to not show up to set, threatening to stop promoting the film, and threatening to let the movie flop at the box office if her demands were not met. Matter of fact, it was revealed that Blake hired a powerful crisis PR representative named Leslie Sloan to plant fabricated stories about Baldoni even before the movie's marketing campaign had begun.
She started making threats that she wouldn't promote the movie, that she wanted to be in control of marketing of the movie, that she would do nothing in terms of promotion unless she was the actual editor. She came up with her own cut of the film, which is, you have a director who has a cut, and she had a competing cut of the film.
The most shocking evidence of how Blake Lively planned to ruin Justin Baldoni came from her own phone records. During the legal proceedings, private text messages and emails between her and her best friend, Taylor Swift, were made public. The texts revealed that Taylor was coaching Blake on how to handle her position for her advantage. In April 2024, the actress sent a link to the movie's trailer, which featured Taylor Swift's song. Taylor responded with a chilling text saying, "Welcome to Hollywood, Justin." The singer told Blake that if Baldoni was actually smart, he would have blocked the song from being in the trailer because allowing it gave Blake more power in this whole situation.
The biggest bombshell here is Swift calling actor and director Justin Baldoni an expletive. She calls him the B word.
When Justin Baldoni gave an interview to People magazine discussing his own past trauma in an attempt to show he was a complex human being, Taylor Swift mocked him in a text saying he had gotten out his tiny violin because he knew something was coming and was trying to preemptively control the narrative. Eventually, when the PR campaign successfully resulted in Baldoni being dropped by his talent agency, Taylor congratulated Blake saying, "You won. You did it." The texts also revealed the strange business-like nature of their friendship that contradicted the story of supportive friends standing together. In December 2024, Blake sent a text apologizing to Taylor for being a sad sack and thanking her for being her key support system during the difficult times she was facing. Taylor Swift's reply revealed that her texts felt like reading a mass corporate email sent to 200 employees because Blake was constantly using the word "we" instead of "I." According to her, she missed her normal-speaking friend and hated that Blake was talking like a PR machine rather than an individual person. Baldoni's legal team pointed to these unsealed messages as proof that Blake was not a victim at all. Instead, she was a powerful manipulator, using her famous billionaire friends to harm a man's career, as if it were a game they were playing.
The unredacted Blake Lively and Taylor Swift text messages prove that Mean Girls is not just a movie, it's a PR strategy. And it works. In the unredacted text messages, Blake Lively refers to Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift as her dragons. They are these power players that she brings in to protect her and threaten egos.
While Blake Lively was busy trying to destroy people through lawsuits, PR campaigns, and billionaire friends who viewed ruining careers as entertainment, another Hollywood star showed exactly how to handle a public relations crisis with grace and maturity. The difference between her and Anne Hathaway became a massive talking point during the scandal and proved that Blake Lively's refusal to admit fault was the real reason her reputation was in complete ruins. During the height of the movie's press tour, an old interview resurfaced showing Blake being rude, mean, and dismissive to a journalist who was just doing her job.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
Instead of doing the normal thing and apologizing to the journalist directly, Blake's team refused to acknowledge any wrongdoing. At the exact same time, another viral video surfaced showing beloved actress Anne Hathaway giving a similarly awkward interview to the exact same journalist back in 2012.
So I was going to ask you to do the first question in singing. Can I sing it to you and you can sing back the answer?
Well, I won't be doing that, but you're more than welcome to sing.
Kirsty Flaw from TV2 Norway.
Now, Hathaway did not hire crisis managers or launch a counterattack against the journalist. She took accountability for her actions and found the reporter's contact information to send a very personal email that acknowledged the pain caused by her behavior.
She sent me a long email explaining to me what she was going through right then when she did this interview, and she apologized for giving me an awful interview, basically.
She even went a step further and invited the journalist to interview her for her next major project.
And then she invited me to interview her for her next movie that's coming out in May.
Fans who had watched this happen realized that Blake Lively could have easily ended her entire crisis by just writing a simple apology email to the journalist, but her massive ego and sense of privilege refused to allow her to admit she was not wrong about anything. As fans pointed out, the fact that she chose to spend millions on lawyers and personal PR instead of writing a few sentences of acknowledgement said everything about her true character and the emptiness behind her real personality.
Did you guys love wearing those kind of clothes that you...
Yeah. And working in digital...
Everyone wants to talk about the clothes, but I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes.
I would.
One of the most interesting aspects of this recent case is how Blake Lively's story has constantly changed. When the media storm first began, people were fed a steady diet of shocking claims about Baldoni's on-set behavior. However, as this case moved into a real courtroom where lying has actual legal consequences, many of these claims quietly disappeared.
The only person whose story kept changing was Blake Lively. We saw it through the evidence. We saw it with what's really important, what this is really about. Every shift along the case, Blake Lively shifted her main focus.
Fans tracking the case documents noticed that a huge number of allegations that initially made the public angry were quietly removed, reframed, or totally dropped by her team. For example, initial reports claimed Justin Baldoni forced her to film a scene without proper consent. There were claims about him making weird comments like, "You smell so good," in a flirty manner. There were claims about him breathing makeup off an actress, an incident in a limo where security had to remove him, slurs and allegations that he cried for 2 hours about being old and fat. Almost all of these claims vanished from the core legal arguments when Blake's team had to actually verify them under penalty of perjury. Her team added new focus areas that were harder to disprove. They talked about a work environment claim that was less specific but more sustainable in court, and many other stuff.
The only reason Lively was able to get away with any of this and file these California claims was because none of her claims singularly were strong enough. They knew that. That's why she went back and made the bullet list and made them sign it, and then forced them to sign it. That's why there were multiple things, because as Lyman's own words say, they had to be put together when viewed together.
In a final effort to avoid this massive public humiliation, both actors met at the Manhattan Federal Courthouse in February for a mandatory settlement mediation that the court required before the trial could proceed. The talks dragged on for over 6 hours. That tired everyone and accomplished nothing. Justin Baldoni walked out of the courthouse smiling, knowing he held all the power in this situation after the judge's ruling supported his core arguments. Blake Lively left with a still expression on her face, refusing to look at anyone or acknowledge what had happened inside.
This conference today was ordered by the judge. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni didn't show up because they were suddenly filled with warm feelings of reconciliation toward each other. They showed up because the court is telling them, let's find a way to resolve this before the trial.
With 10 claims dismissed and the PR war completely lost in the court of public opinion, the remaining pieces of the lawsuit involving retaliation and breach of contract are officially set to go to a jury trial on May 18th. Despite her recent meltdown and the public mockery she faced across all platforms, Blake Lively refuses to quit her quest to clear her name in whatever way remains possible. Reports indicate she is looking to testify in court and present her version of events to a jury who will decide her fate. In preparation for the May showdown, her team submitted a massive, star-studded witness list containing nearly 100 big celebrity names that they intend to call to testify on her behalf. The list includes her husband Ryan Reynolds, her best friend Taylor Swift, Gigi Hadid, Emily Blunt, Hugh Jackman, and author Colleen Hoover, whose book the movie was based on. Looks like she intends to bring her famous friends into the courtroom to win over the jury through sheer star power rather than actual receipts.
Taylor Swift is being declared a hostile witness, and this is super significant. And I don't understand why other people aren't talking about this, because this one corroborates that she's been friends with Blake this entire time.
Behind closed doors, the Hollywood elite who have been watching this case are terrified of a televised trial that would expose exactly how these power games work in their industry. The famous Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial was a major warning sign for everyone involved in high-profile legal battles. That trial proved to all public figures that entering a courtroom with cameras can permanently damage their reputation that took decades to build. Blake Lively's team originally filed the case in federal court hoping to avoid cameras, knowing that cross-examination by Baldoni's lawyers will reveal exactly what kind of person she is when she does not get her desired results. During the trial, she will be forced to answer under oath about her media campaigns against Baldoni that were designed to harm him before he could even present his defense. Fan theories suggest Blake needs to settle to save whatever is left of her career and reputation. Baldoni has nothing to lose by going to trial because his reputation has already been cleared by the judge in his 152-page ruling. Blake, on the other hand, risks having her entire life, private texts with Taylor Swift, and her manipulative behavior broadcast to the entire world in a way that cannot be undone once the cameras start rolling.
Blake Lively has way less to argue than she did just yesterday.
The recent ruling of Blake Lively's court case by Judge Lewis Lyman marks a permanent turning point in the upcoming trial. The legal system relies on hard facts, not Instagram followers or red carpet looks that can be edited to present any desired image. By choosing the wrong laws to file under and completely ignoring her actual status as an independent contractor rather than a vulnerable employee, Blake's legal team has doomed the most serious allegations before going into the trial. As the May 2026 trial approaches with its star-studded witness list that reads more like a who's who of Hollywood power players than a legitimate legal defense, everyone is preparing for a media circus that will likely inflict even more damage on the cool club of Hollywood.